I'm O'Day. That's Vicky. I'm me. You're you. We are we.
Oh my god, that was
That's
so
cheesy, right?
corny.
The You, Me,
Oh my
We
goodness.
podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to the You, Me, We podcast. I'm O'Day,
I'm Vicky.
and this is.
Damn.
So
O'Day.
no. So we're not.
can't?
No, listen, hold on. We're not going to say what episode this is because we're actually going to be recording a lot of bulk episodes. So I don't want to say this is episode blah blah blah, and then we air this like 10 months from now. See.
True.
So welcome back to our latest episode of the You Me We
I
podcast,
just said that.
and of course, I am rocking the latest You Me We fashion, my You Me We hoodie, the one hoodie that we're passing around right now. Don't worry, we have another hoodie on the way. It should be here by Friday or so. That's mine. It's a red one. What? Anyways, so we have a special guest with us this evening, or whenever you're listening to this. We actually have two guests. We have one guest in the building that's might join us on the mic, but she's
May or may not.
she's in the background. But I'll pass it over to Vicky to introduce our guest for this episode.
Yes. So today we have Janine, and Janine is very, very accomplished. So I'd rather she just give herself the proper intro, because she are for real, like, so many things. You accomplished so much, from like books and the tea and just like speaking, and it's so much that I feel like you have to give yourself that proper intro.
Well, thank you. So my name's Janine. Thank you guys for having me first and foremost. And I'm over here like literally laughing as I hear you say this, because in my mind I'm like, I'm not accomplished anything.
She's like, I ain't never did nothing.
But I'm like, wait, what? So I guess what Vicky is alluding to is that I am an author. I've been talking about being an author, I think, since I met Vicky, or
Yeah.
since I've known Vicky, since
Yeah.
we were little. I've always talked about writing books and being an author. And so at this point, I am getting ready to launch my fourth book this spring.
She's like, I'm not
And-
accomplished.
Told you.
She's like, I'm sorry. So, I'm not really accomplished. I'm just writing my 7th bestseller for the New York Times. That's all. Just a little something.
No, guys, hear me out. My dreams are so much bigger than what I'm doing right now. I promise you, that's why.
I'm still trying to write my first like poem.
Roses are red.
All right.
But yeah, I'm a speaker. I love to speak at different events and empower women and Latinos to go out there and get stuff done.
It's okay.
And,
We're an adult podcast.
It's okay. Yes.
I don't know. I'm drawing a blank. What else do I do, Vicky?
Your
I do
tea?
a lot of stuff. I sell tea. I always thought that, books and just sitting on the couch and drinking some tea kind of go together. So I started to sell
Yes,
some
they
tea
do.
at my own tea line.
See, she has her
Yeah,
own tea
and
line
right
all
now
day. You see what I'm saying? Like, she's like, oh my god, I haven't done anything, but I've written 4 books and I have a tea line, and I speak and I empower
See.
women, and I'm like, wait, today I was accomplished because I did laundry. I did my son's laundry. That's what made me accomplished today.
So we definitely got to get some of your tea over to the studio because I'm a tea
loves
person.
tea.
So definitely
Yeah,
we will.
I'll send you guys some.
Oh,
All day, you don't understand. Your arm could be hanging off, and they'll be like, just drink some tea. You'll feel so much better.
That's how it
I'm
works.
like-
That's how it works.
Dominican Vaporub.
And then Dominicans are like, go get the Vaporu.
We get tea because everything you're feeling, whether your head got chopped off or your stomach hurts, it's probably gas. So not only are you an accomplished author, an accomplished tea maker, you're also an accomplished parent.
Yeah.
And that's actually why we have you here on the show on this episode. So first, tell us a little bit about you as a parent.
Me as a parent, I would have to say I'm one of those cool moms. And this year, my son finally acknowledged that I'm pretty cool. He's like, you're pretty cool. Prior to that,
You ain't that bad.
I didn't think so. Prior to that, he didn't think so. But as a parent, I try to give my son everything. I love that kid so much. So as a parent, I try to take him to as many vacations and places that he can see the world and teach him new things and try new activities. And I have very vulnerable and open and raw conversations with him. I'm very affectionate with him, and I always tell him how much I love him and uplift him and tell him, you're amazing, or, I just always try to have a positive mindset around him, because he's little. I'm tiny, and he's little like me, and I've always told him, like, hey, you're going to get bullied, like, a lot. Like, I did.
Yo, life's going to be hard.
These are the things, yeah, like, you need to have a tough skin, and so that's the kind of parent that I am with him.
And I appreciate that because I can't wait till like when my son's old enough, we can have those honest conversations. I could tell him he ain't shit.
Wow, really, O'Day? I'm over here like, yeah, me too. That's not the honest conversations I was referring to, but okay.
but most important about your parenting is that you're co-parenting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
and,
I am.
And I know for some people,
for a lot of people,
some people probably heard me say that and they got triggered.
Yeah, some people were like, "Girl, I feel your pain."
And for some, it's not always pain, right?
Yep.
So
correct.
So for you, well, okay, I grew up. I was talking to a friend today. I grew up, I guess, being co-parented. Is that the right term? But what was interesting about my co-parented situation is that I lived with my mom. Me and my sisters grew up with my mom. And my dad lived maybe 6 blocks away from us.
Yo, for real. Damn.
So we all lived in the same area. So yes, they co-parented, but I feel like the distance definitely played some kind of role in
the
frequency, how easy the situation is. So what's your co-parenting situation like right now?
Well, as far as the distance, he lives about 10 to 15 minutes from me. And we strategically plan, like, he owns a house, but I make sure that I live close to them just so that it's easy for us when picking up, dropping off, school events, all of that. I would love to live on the other side of town, but that's just not a priority right now. My son is a priority.
Wow.
And as far as co-parenting, I will say that it's not painful, and it shouldn't be, which is why I wanted to get on here and share with you guys, like, what we do to co-parent and have it be a healthy relationship.
And like I said, a lot of people need it.
This is going to be a very beneficial conversation because even just that, even the whole, I want to live on the other side of town, but that's not priority. Like, my son is the priority. Making sure that I stay near, making sure that we stay near each other as parents is the priority for the child. And then as opposed to, like, other parents are like, I'm out.
I got this job opportunity 5 states away.
You better figure it out how you going to see this kid because I'm out. Deuces.
Yeah. I get it. I mean, I think the kids should be priority always.
But it's my, okay, I hope she doesn't mind me putting her business out there. Like, my sister co-parents.
I hope she don't mind you putting her business out there.
This is her birthday gift. It's her birthday today. I didn't tell you that. You should have known.
I know.
Okay, good.
It was her birthday.
So she co-parents, and I want to say, I don't want to give her too much credit, but I want to say she moved.
She moved closer.
She moved closer to my nephew's dad, and I'm sure he probably appreciated that because they weren't like in the same state, but she definitely moved a shorter drive than it would have been from Brooklyn all the way to where he's living. But like Vicky said, I'll be honest. If I don't know what I would do. If Vicky and I are co-parenting and I got a chance to get this great opportunity career-wise in West Minnesota, Kansas. I don't know that's a state.
In Kansas City.
In Kansas City, yeah.
In Kansas City State.
I could see myself taking it because I might even tell myself this opportunity will put me in a better financial position to take care of my son or my daughter.
Yes.
While some people might say, you know what, yes, there's that, but there's also the thing about distance and being close to them and being around them.
Well, have you had to face any situations like that?
Well, actually, yes. I did live in Miami for 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
And yeah, this was 3 years ago. I moved back to Arizona. So my son was going back and forth. He would do 1 year in Arizona, one year in Miami, and then go back and forth between holidays. And then it wasn't until my son told me that last year we were there, he said, Mom, so I'm going back with my dad this year. and I'm not coming back. He like just told me straight up. I
Damn.
think he was like 8. He's like, I'm not coming back. And then that was it. Like, that's all I needed to hear for me
Wow.
to say, okay, like, that's it. And so I decided within 6 months I had moved. I donated all of my things, and we moved back to Arizona, and I made the decision to be here so that we're close to his dad.
Wow.
So yeah, I get it, and that's why I said I consciously live 15 minutes from his dad's house, so that we are a good, close, blended family. Because him going back and forth was just not working for us.
Now, how easy was it to make that agreement, like that initial agreement of 1 year with me, 1 year with you? 'Cause I would assume some people would be like, no, he or she's going to stay here.
Yeah, I like to play fair. I don't think it's fair for
Yeah.
his dad to be away from him. I mean, normally the kid would stay with the mom, but is that fair? And he is a great dad, so why should I tell him, no, you can't? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was very easy, even though it was really, really hard. But just that's what made the decision a lot easier for me, was to move back.
I think the hardest thing for some of our listeners is going to be the fact that you guys are doing something rare. You're acting like mature adults.
Wow. Way to get this. We're trying to build a Yumi We community
know,
a day,
but yo,
not tear them
No,
apart.
but let's be honest. I know for a fact there's a bunch of people listening right now like, not me. Like, they can't understand. Like,
So then let me ask you this, Janine. Did you always have such a good relationship with the father of your son, or did you guys have to like, work at it so that you can get to this point? Because I think that a lot of people, they have that friction, and then they just like, this is how it's gonna be, and this is how we are, and that's it.
So if I can be completely honest with you guys, me and him fell off. I mean, we decided to separate. We just weren't right for each other. We grew apart. And I know I had to take ownership of my own life and my own decisions and take responsibility for my actions. And I realized that a lot of issues that we had, or maybe fights or argument, was because of me. I had a very bad postpartum, and I was just moody. I just would argue with him for no reason. So once I started to work on myself, and I started to realize there really is no point in arguing with him, because there's no reason, things started to change between us. But I'll tell you what moment everything shifted for me. One of the times that I was here, I came to visit them for Thanksgiving. It was my turn to visit. So I came to visit him, and my son had a fever. And his stepmom, at the time, we weren't close or anything like that. We had just met a couple times. She was like, she was so worried, and she's like, I need to go to the supermarket to get him Tylenol. I need to go. So I was like, okay, like, I'll go with you. We'll get him Tylenol. The kids need diapers, whatever it is. So we went together. And then just seeing her so worried about my child, like, while I wasn't there, and her stepping up as a stepmom, is what really changed my perspective on the whole thing, a complete, like, 360. Because I was like, this woman is here. She has really no business, or no, she could have all of the malice intent to be like, this ain't my kid, or treat him like crap. But she never did. She always loved him. And to know that she loved him so much to the point where she was like, I just need to go get him Tylenol because he has a fever. Like, to me, I was like, this, my child is being taken very well care of while I am not here. And that just made it so much easier to get rid of any arguments or just dumb, sometimes you just get into those dumb conversations or arguments with your significant other. It's like, there's no point in it.
we call those Mondays around here.
Really?
Yeah.
Stand them. So was there ever any when the stepmom came into the picture, was there any problems there? Because like, that's also another thing too. Like, I can't even imagine. I can't.
Don't bring nobody around my son.
Right. Like, was there a lot of those, like, I don't want nobody around my kid. I need to know them. I need to meet them.
Don't be calling her mom. Don't be calling him dad.
Yeah. Like, how did you guys handle that? Like, the new people in the dynamic?
When I moved back here, they had my son, and they already had 2 other children. So they already had 3 kids total.
Wow.
So when I moved back, I think she was pregnant, and there might have been gossip or people in her ear telling her like, oh, she moved back for him, gossip. And she just confronted me one day, and she was just like, this is what I'm hearing. And I was like, God, no. I was like, no, I don't want him. I was like, I came here for my son. I was like, no. I was like, and you guys are perfect for each other, And then what helped, too, was about 5 months later, I ended up getting into a very serious relationship, and they met the guy, too. So I think that put her at ease, is that, oh, she's moved on. Like, she's starting her own life. And yeah, I'm not going to lie. There were times at the beginning where he would say, Mom, to her, and you're just like, oh my God, that hurts.
You feel it. I felt it.
Yeah, it did at the beginning. But then after, like I said, that's all ego. And once you realize that this person truly loves my child, and she truly is a mom to him, she's like amazing, so there's no reason for me to be upset.
Did you ever want to have the conversation about, about your son calling her mom?
No, I never did, just because I'm adult enough to understand that she is. She may not be his biological mom. She may not be his biological mom, but she is his mom, And I completely 100% trust her.
So you're next.
I'm like, girl.
Yeah. Listen.
Girl, do you know?
I will drop kick on site.
How much work? Yeah, but do you know how much internal work I've had to do with myself to get?
Yo, that is. I know, because
10 years ago.
When you said, yeah, because that's just ego.
Bruh.
I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
I was thinking the
I
same.
am mom.
So your
There
fifth.
is one.
So your 5th book has to be How to Be a Mature Adult. Like, seriously, because
It's not mature
No,
adult.
it
How do
is.
you because it's deeper than that. It's how do you
check your ego?
Yeah, how do you check your ego?
Yeah.
My God, yo, but that makes sense, right? Because a situation like that requires like some intense work. Because now, like when you have a kid, you have an idea of how things are gonna be, and then when they don't go that way, it's hard not to become resentful when someone else is like carrying on with their life, and you're like, oh my God. Now I'm in this situation. I didn't want to be in this situation. And then to go from that to like, you're cool with somebody, like with the stepmom being called mom. And it's just, that is true. That requires an intense and immense amount of internal work. That's crazy.
And
Girl, because me 10 years ago, I would have flipped out.
Yeah, I'm like,
But
girl, you're
I'm a
from
different
Jersey. I don't know. What's
a
this
whole
West Coast?
different
What
story.
is this West Coast air you've been breathing? Bottle that up and send it out here.
So to what extent is it? Because I know some people are probably hearing this, thinking about the whole like when Vicky first told me that there's that whole blended family dynamic.
He was like, nope.
Well, I heard you say you guys like you visit and you spend time there. Like, is it like to the point where you are cool enough to the point where you guys can vacation together?
I don't know about vacation. I mean, we probably would, but we've just never done it. But we are a blended family. Like, my son has soccer games, so I see them every Sunday. They invite me over for dinner sometimes. And like I said, they have three other kids, 2 boys and a girl. So the girl, she's still only 1 year old. But the 2 boys, I bring them with me. So I have 3 kids sometimes on the weekends, and they sleep over here. And I take them to the zoo, or I'll take them out to eat, just so that they can all do something together. And what else? I mean, I get invited to all of their family functions.
That's
so
crazy.
when there's a quinceañera, they all still treat me like I'm a part of the family, every single person. And it's because we've been able to withhold or uphold that relationship.
That is amazing.
So I would say, yeah, we are a true blended family.
Don't get any ideas, Vicky.
I'm looking at O'Day like, yo, don't you even think, yo.
Here's the
I
thing.
already told you, once you put the ring on, it's for life.
It's hard for us because we know for a fact.
To death do us part starting now.
We
Damn
know
it.
for a fact, me and Vicky, we know that we couldn't even do it with our dog.
No, we couldn't do it with the dog. I legit was like, I will retain an attorney and I will sue you. It's
So-
my dog.
So to hear to hear other people do it so well, but you admitted that it
There's
does take
hope.
time.
That honestly, like just hearing it, there is hope to know that like not all is what we're accustomed to seeing with people who co-parent and have a very, very bad relationship. Like I constantly hear like,
Yeah.
no, we switch kids at the police station because I
know.
just can't.
I
And
know
I'm
of a
like,
couple.
yo, that sounds insane, dude. Like you brought multiple children into the world together, and you guys are meeting at police stations.
Imagine what
Come
it's
on,
doing
bro.
to that child.
I'm like, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, nah, that's too much. But like we hear it so much. It's the norm. We can literally think of a bunch of people whose situation is like that. So it is kind of like a breath of fresh air to hear someone our age, say like, I have a healthy relationship with the father or the mother of my child. And, we are a true blended family. We all love each other. We all respect each other. Like it is very refreshing, and there is like that ray of hope. Like, okay, if I were in this situation, now I could be like, oh, I know someone who has a good relationship. So I could be like that too. Instead of like, nah, it's just got to be sour. That's the only way I know.
Well, and I'll take it a little deeper with you guys too. We've never done anything through the courts, so we don't do child support. We do everything as adults. Like we split down down the middle if we need to on different things, but we've never done anything, absolutely nothing through the courts. And it confuses the school because the school, you have to fill out forms and they have to have like court ordered documents on what the custody situation is.
Oh yeah.
And I literally I cross out the form and I say, we don't go through the courts.
You just write adults.
And yeah, we're adults. And so when I go pick up my son, I usually pick up the other two. And so they're usually they're always questioning, so can you remind me again? Or you're not the mom, right? I'm like, I'm his mom, but not his mom. And they're like, but is she okay? And I'm like, yes.
Oh,
and
yeah, I can
vice
see how
versa,
that's
they do it to her.
confusing.
They're just like, how do you guys get along so good?
Yeah.
I just don't understand because this is not the norm. And I'm like, it's just, that's how our family is.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And just so that anyone wondering, right? Because unfortunately, we all have a little bit of petty in us.
A little bit.
A little, like everyone has a little bit of petty in them. You guys, what's his nationality? So I know your nationality, but state your nationality, state his nationality, so that people are not assuming like, oh girl, please, us, enter whatever ethnicity
True.
or nationality.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
He's Mexican and I'm Colombian.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I want it to be clarified that they are us too. So don't think that that's just reserved. Like that kind of maturity and that kind of understanding is
They enjoyed
reserved.
the Super Bowl halftime show just like the rest of us. So.
Yeah, no, and I mean, things aren't perfect. We've had our moments where we argue.
Of course.
It usually lasts for 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's usually
you're
because I'm
human.
a hothead and it's usually because I'm the hothead and I say something stupid and he'll just be like, whatever, like, get over it,
Yeah.
And then we go about our business. But it's never perfect, but we try the best that we can, We have more good moments than bad ones. I don't even remember the bad ones, honestly.
That's awesome. That is so, so cool.
Aside from.
But I know. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was gonna say, aside from checking your ego, what else are people doing wrong? People in that situation who are doing it wrong. What else are they missing? What else are they failing at doing?
I think jealousy. People get jealous of the
Yeah.
significant other, and you can't do that. Like, I've come to terms that me and her bring different things to the table. She is an amazing cook, and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm hustling all day, and I'm gonna go eat out.
You out here trying to boil water.
Yeah, I'm not. So I totally, we just bring different things to the table, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm okay with my son growing up and knowing that we each are teaching him different things, and that's totally fine,
That a little bit of that, and I know I just realized that my saying this to you is even cooler because you got to freaking meet him, and I'm so jealous. But this sounds a little bit like Rich Dad Poor Dad. So how he had his official dad, but then he had his what he called his rich dad.
Oh, is that what that book is about? I never knew. I thought the book was about how to be a rich dad as opposed to how to be a poor dad.
No. Rich Dad Poor Dad is is a reference to his father, his biological father, and then his father figure who was a rich man, and how they both taught him very valuable lessons in life. And it's a great book, and I think everyone should read that book. But she actually met him, so I'm jealous. That must have been so cool.
Now,
It was very cool.
by any chance, did you grow up in a co-parenting situation?
No, my parents are still married.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. 30-something years.
Do y'all, like, I guess early on, did you ever wonder about, like, did you ever wonder the effect it was having on your son?
Yes. He told me one day, this was years later, he was like, Mom, whenever I was with Dad and you weren't here, I would wonder if you missed me. And I'm like, oh my God, baby, you really thought that? He's like, yeah, I did. And so I know that I made the right decision by moving back here with him.
Wow.
That's awesome.
There should be more people like you.
I know. Yo, right now somebody that works in the court is going to be like, listen, I need you guys to listen to this episode, okay?
Yeah.
Because people can do it. Without clogging up the
True.
courts.
And I was talking to Vicky about a month ago. We were talking because our co-parenting situation got even more intense now because my son's 11. He's in the preteen area now, and preteen years, and he's getting suspended from school. He has girlfriends. He's learning about drugs. And so our co-parenting situation now is even, like, I'm realizing that it's even stronger now because we're all on the same page as far as how we're disciplining him, the conversations we're having. We're all feeling the same type of pain, too. Just with some of the situations that I told Vicky about recently that we've been going through, to see his stepmom crying the way that she did, just like I did, I was like, my son is very lucky.
Oh,
very
that's
lucky.
amazing. That is really amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I know you said you guys are all on the same page, but the first thing I thought about was the co-parenting blended family scenario when it comes to discipline. But I know just now you said you guys are all on the same page, but was that ever a situation where it's like, here are your views and how you feel he should be disciplined, but here's his father and his father's new wife, and she may have different views on discipline and how to discipline a child?
Yeah, we had a situation in the past where my son, for some reason, he listens more to me as far, like, when he's with me, he's like a little angel. He doesn't do anything. He's a really good kid. When he's with his dad and around his dad's family, he tends to have a temper. He talks back. He yells back at his dad. And I've always tried to be supportive of his dad. When I see him, like, arguing with him, I always tell him, you need to respect your dad. You need to cut that out,
Yeah.
But we did, at one point, they noticed that my son respected me more in that sense. So whenever he wasn't behaving good at his house, they would call me on the phone and have me try to discipline, or they would, like, tell him, if you don't behave good, we're going to call your mom, like, kind of scare him like that.
Yeah.
And then I became the bad guy. So I had to have a conversation with them, like, I need to stop. Like, whatever happens in your household is your house, and what happens in mine is mine. And you can't keep calling me as the disciplined person, because it only makes him, like, resent me or act a certain way because he's afraid of me, and that's not what I'm trying to cultivate.
Yeah.
And so they kind of backed off and stopped doing that. And then what else? I mean, I think we only had one other time where his stepmom made a comment to me and said, because I am, like, I travel a lot, and my businesses are very important to me, just as my son is, but I make sure that I have a healthy balance. And she had made a comment once about how maybe I'm not present in his life as much as I should be. And that was hard to listen to. But I know that maybe it was hard because there's a little bit of truth behind it. So I had to take a look at myself and how I was maybe balancing my time or things like that. And then also, when she said that, we were actually at his house. She said that, and then she went into the kitchen and started cleaning. Like, she kind of removed herself. So we actually spoke about it a few days later over the phone after we were both calm. And, and I told her, I was like, I don't think that you really had the authority to tell me that, but at the same time, you kind of do, because you are his stepmom. So if you're seeing something that maybe I'm lacking in, I would appreciate it if you guys told me. So again, it's one of those moments where I have to check my ego at the door and self-reflect. Like, am I really being as present as I should be in this moment? So that was a good learning experience for both of us, and growth as well, because we did it without arguing.
Girl,
But
better you
I
than
know,
me.
like, because I know I mentioned to a friend, and I was talking to her about it and how that comment hurt me. And she's like, girl, I would have cursed and done all this stuff. And I'm like, but that doesn't get you anywhere. And she's just expressing her point of view, And so we just had to sit down and look at it together and talk about it.
I couldn't.
I
couldn't. Even in my most calming way, I would have read her for filth. I can do that. I can very calmly suck the soul out of someone and just throw it in the trash right in front of them. I can do that. I did it to a guy in a bank today. So I'm like, nope. I would absolutely just tear you apart. Very nicely too. And thank you for listening.
I know I joked about this earlier, but I have to ask: are any of the 4 books you've written about this topic, like co-parenting? Because if not, I feel like they have.
I feel like you are more than qualified.
You have to
Seriously.
because people need, like Vicky said, people need it. And while you were talking, I this is sad to say, but I thought about all the couples out there who, I guess, like we were joking earlier, aren't mature enough or at the point where they can admit that, you know what, maybe a co-parenting situation might be the best for us, and they just kind of stay together in the toxic
Relationship.
situation that they're in, instead of just saying, you know what, let's try something different. And that's actually somebody I spoke to today. That's the realization she got to. She realized that, you know what, still have love for this person, but right now, us together as parents in a relationship is just not working. And she said once they both took that, that they put that space between them, she was happier, he was happier. When they were with their kids at separate times, they were happier. They, when the kids were with dad did his thing, and when they were with her, she did her thing, and they were just happier as people, as individuals. When once they admitted that, you know what, staying together isn't the best option for us or the kids. And I think there's a lot of people who need to realize that, you know what, that is like Vicky said earlier, that is an option that might be healthier than what we're staying in right now.
Yeah.
And you know what? I came to terms that they're perfect for each other, and me and him are better off as friends. And I know that in the middle of the night, if I get a flat tire at 2:00 in the morning, I could call them and they would be there for me. Why? Because we are both, on both sides, very supportive of one another and of the family choices that we make. Whereas I will tell you, 10 years ago, when I was being a little bitch, arguing with him all the time and all of that stuff, and I had this ego, there were moments where he would tell me, well, go have one of your friends help you. He just didn't want to deal with me. But right now, in this moment, I could call him and tell him, yo, my light fixture went out, and he'd come and he'd fix it for me, because that's the type of relationship that we have now,
Let Vicky call me. I'll be like, yo, you got a flashlight on your phone. Just tape that to the front of your car and drive.
You're such a gentleman.
But like I said, it's
It is an option. I grew up in a house where parents didn't want to be together, and it was why are
the tea.
please, but why stay and make all of our lives miserable? Let's stay together so that we can torture the kids with misery. That doesn't even make sense. But people do it every day.
Yeah.
One thing too, sorry, that I'm thinking about off the top of my head. We touched on jealousy and reasons why people maybe don't like to co-parent and they just make it a difficult situation. But I think that when you look at, and this is something that I self-reflected on myself, is that at the beginning when they first started dating and they bought a house and they got married and they had more kids, I started to feel like, well, why is he getting everything? Like, why did we break up, and why is he having so much success as far as like a home, a family, marriage, and I'm still single? I'm still over here struggling. Like, I'm struggling to get by with money and struggling as a single parent, and I still don't own a house and all this stuff. And I was like venting to my mom, and I was so upset, and I was like feeling almost vindictive against him. And my mom was like, you should be grateful that he has a home that he can provide for your child. And you should be grateful that he has a stepmom that loves him the way that you do. And you should be grateful. And so she kind of like flipped it for me. And I'm like, oh my God, you're like so right. And that's something that I struggled with for a very long time was, still they're married, they're having more kids, all of that stuff, and I still haven't had that for myself. Like, I still don't have a family, I'm still single, it's just me and my son. And I realized that, like, especially around the holidays, because that's when you feel it the most whenever you are single, I realized that I'm out there hoping and wishing that I had this family, but I've had it this whole time, and it was them. And what I mean by that is, like, their children. Like, I love their children like they're mine. And I always tell them, too. I'm like, they're my kids. But even like that, I'm like, I don't need to find a husband and get married to have more kids, because I have theirs. Even though I don't get them all the time, I get to have them every once in a while. And I can go take them out for lunch. Or I take them to the zoo. Or they come and they sleep over. And I still have love, and I guess I still have that family dynamic. And so I stopped focusing on like all the negativity of like, why them? Why do they get all of that stuff and not me? And just started realizing like, this is your situation. You got to make the best of it, and you have to be grateful for all that you do have, you know? And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that one day I'll actually attract something. But in the meantime, I've learned to be happy with the blended family that I have.
Yeah, that's
You know?
that, and then that's a big thing too, right? Like shifting your perspective, like coming from a place of being grateful instead of the like the
Bitter
spiteful,
or-
bitter, jealous,
Bitter.
like, and the profound effect that has of just shifting your perspective
Yeah.
instead of focusing on all the negative, which you can equally also just focus on the positive. Because it's like I read in this book that it was like, I hate when people say they're realists, like, oh, I'm not optimistic, I'm not pessimistic, I'm a realist. I'm guilty of this. I've said this too. And in the book, the guy's like, he's like, I hate that, because you can either be positive or you can be negative. He was like, if you choose to be positive, that doesn't mean that the negative isn't just as real, and vice versa. He's like, to be real is to still be negative, because you're saying that without all this like you're saying, here are two things that I can focus on. I can either focus on the good or focus on the bad. And if I choose to focus on the bad, people have to tell me like, oh, you're way too pessimistic. Or if I choose to focus only on the positive, it's like, oh, but you're not keeping, and you're not really acknowledging the bad. It's like, no, I know it's just as real. I'm just choosing the one that fits me, that makes me feel better.
Yes.
Like that's the one I'm gonna go with. So it reminded me of that.
And that's what I think a lot of people fail at when they co-parent, is that they focus on the negative. They only focus on the me portion, why me, and let me point the finger at you and you're the problem, instead of just focusing on the good stuff and then going from there. And that, man, it took a lot of years for me to get to a point to where I'm at with them, but it is very possible. Very, very possible.
It just takes work. And you know, and I know people are going to hear this, and what is going to be the immediate response? If someone hears this, like, no, it's very possible.
You'd be like,
Yeah.
No, or they're going to be like, it's so much easier said than done. No one's saying that it's easy.
Yeah.
No one is saying that it's easy.
You're gonna be
It
like,
takes a
well-
lot of fucking work. It's not going to happen in a week. It's not going to happen in a
Yeah.
month. It's not going to happen in a year. It takes time and it takes work. But shit, don't let that be the reason that it's so much easier said than done. Everything is so much easier
Yeah.
said than done. Absolutely everything. I can say I can do 10 push-ups. Ask me to do them. You'll get lucky if you get 2.5. You know, like everything is easier said than done. I just hate that people use that scapegoat to, you know, to be like, I'm not gonna do it because, you know, we acknowledge that it's so much easier said than done. Instead of saying that, it could be like, well, it is possible if I put in work and know that it's gonna take time.
Somebody's gonna be like, well, that's Arizona. That's not gonna work in New Jersey.
It's not gonna work in New Jersey.
But you,
Yeah.
but you and your blended family and everybody that's a part of it, you guys are proof that it can work.
It can
happen.
work. We're young. We're
Yes.
usually like we're all within the same age group. Our listeners too, and guys, this can be you too. You're
They
You
can
guys
just be
motivate me.
yeah, I all day.
But
You guys motivated
the
me. I
1%.
will write a book now about it.
Now
was that?
what?
I said I'm gonna write my book about it.
You
now.
have
You really
to.
no, for real.
have
You
to.
really should. Like, I know that you have a children's book, but I'm really shocked that you haven't written a book regarding this.
I think I might.
You
You have
have
to.
to. Like, there's no you might. You have to.
And when
We're
you-
demanding it.
And when you do, you're gonna come on the You Me We podcast, and we're gonna debut your book, and
Yes.
we'll have a signing and all that stuff. But until then, on behalf of all of the bitter, angry co-parenting
What do you mean
couples,
on behalf?
No, not on
Excuse
behalf.
me?
I'm speaking for them. I'm speaking for the bitter, unhappy co-parenting situations right now, who refuse to take a step back from their egos and the jealousy to see how they can make it a better situation. I want to say thank you for the gems you've dropped.
Yeah, for real.
Thank you for all of the information you've given us and the words of wisdom. Like Vicky said, it was needed, and I hope everyone listening who needed to hear it heard it.
And if you heard it but it didn't feel that you didn't, it's not applicable to you, I know you know someone that it's applicable to. So
Yeah.
send it to them. Tell them to listen to it.
Or maybe we need an ego check.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
well,
If
thank
you
you
don't
guys
think it's
for
for
having
you,
me.
but you're not doing so well with the other person in your son's life, you need an ego check.
So Janine, we want to say thank you for joining us on this episode of the You Me We podcast. Any last words you want to? Actually, no. We mentioned your book and your tea. Where can people find more information about your products?
So
Or your
well, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Janine Jane Hernandez with a Z at the end, and then it's an underscore. And so I have all of my information on there, but my website is JanineHernandez.com. You can find everything on there: my books, my teas, my coaching programs. Everything is on there.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
So everybody check her out at JanineHernandez.com. And this has been another episode of the You, Me, We podcast.